Oh my gosh. Y'all, I have been at this since like 7 a.m. All my software keeps crashing, and I've recorded this lecture once already, and it disappeared. So you guys are getting the evening version of this lecture. I hope that your technology stuff is going better than mine is, and I hope you guys are safe and healthy and relatively happy and joyful, and getting some good interaction in with people, staying healthy. Please remember to reach out to me either via Piazza or email or online office hours if there's anything I can do to help. Um, but today I just wanted to talk a little bit about online interviews, because we've been doing some talking about interviewing, but I thought given our rather unusual situation right now, it might be a good idea to go over some tips for if those interviews get pushed online, which is kind of likely to happen for some of you, either with job interviews or internship interviews for the summer. So we're going to go over a few tips. You get to watch me try to advance the slides. There we go. So we are going to talk a little bit about how to crush an online interview. And I love this picture that's on your screen right now because this article came out that said Walmart has noticed an upsurge in their sales of shirts, tops, but not pants. Which is kind of hilarious because we've all gone remote. We all can only see each other from like the waist up. So we're getting nicer shirts and we are apparently still in our pajama pants. So I thought that was kind of funny. But a couple of tips for any online interviews that you need to do. Make sure that you do a test run. Like I said, I've literally been at this like since 7 a.m. So like almost 14 hours. And you don't want that type of thing to happen if you have a set time to meet with somebody for an interview. So make sure that you do run through everything first. One good question to ask them is if you guys are going to do audio, video, or both. Well, obviously, if you're doing video, you're doing audio too, but sometimes people just do audio. So I was in a meeting earlier last week, where everybody was just audio except for one person was on video, and it was a little awkward because we're all just kind of calling in like a phone call. So you might want to find out like what's expected of you. And on the other hand, if everybody's expecting video and you thought this was an audio call in, you might not be dressed the way you meant to be. You might not have thought about what the background is, that sort of thing. So just make sure that you're clear on if this is audio, video, and then make sure that you check those things before you actually do the interview. I took an online Mandarin class last summer, and one of our first assignments was just a practice meeting with our professor, which I thought was kind of interesting. Was also great because my microphone did not work on my computer. So it gave me a chance, sort of a low stakes situation, to make sure I got that worked out before we had an actual meeting. So I would highly recommend, if you do have an online interview, that you try to get some practice in first, and make sure that all that stuff is working. You also need to think about the location. So I know Zoom has some automatic backgrounds. You can make it look like you're at the beach or whatever. But if you are going to do an actual location in your house, choose wisely. Make sure it looks fairly professional. I'm in front of my built-in bookshelves. I did not check my bookshelves before I did this, so don't zoom in. But it looks fairly neutral. Books, it's fine. Make sure it's well lit. So make sure that you're not terribly backlit. Make sure that it's quiet. I don't know if you can hear my new furnace running. I'm downstairs right now, and we had a furnace and a air conditioner installed today. So making sure that you don't time videos or interviews with super loud projects going on in your house. And that's part of minimizing distractions, right? So turning off any notifications either on your computer or on your phone. Even if it's on your phone and it's sort of next to you, it'll draw your eye. And if you can see, like while I'm looking at you or clearly sort of looking at my screen, it seems fine. But you can tell when my eyes go to the side or when I look up at somebody that walks by, right? It gets really weird really quick. So turn off any notifications so nothing's dinging at you and distracting you. Let others in the house know. So most of you know I have two kids, a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old. So we've had to set some rules about mommy's doing her lectures now, so we can't all just pile in. So, you know, if you have roommates, that sort of thing, let them know when you're going to be doing that so they don't just accidentally interrupt. And also, I mean, people are going to understand with online interviews, like things happen, right? Like my doorbell could ring, stuff like that. But do try to minimize anything that you can minimize. Professionalism. So a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about in class holds true here. You want to check your attire. You may be able to get away with, you know, something less formal on the bottom. Although I do recommend, especially if you haven't done a lot of interviews before, just going ahead and doing the full dress up thing, and making yourself sort of feel like you're actually in the interview, all the way around. Also check your posture. So the chair I'm sitting in is not great for that. It's can you see it? It's my bouncy chair. I love this chair. So I just sit here and bounce and it's super comfortable. But it is causing me to lean forward a little bit, which looks a little weird. It's also like aqua. So I probably, if I was doing an interview, sit in an actual chair that was not aqua and that did not make me lean forward. So do think about how it looks when you're sitting. Okay. And punctuality. So that's part of trying to figure out some of the technology beforehand, making sure all that is okay, and then arrive early. So most, at least WebEx rooms and Zoom rooms, you can go in a little bit early and wait for the host. Always a good idea, sort of get yourself in that mindset the same way you would at an on-site interview. Next, communication skills. So a lot of what we've already talked about in this class holds true here. Again, eye contact. So either looking right at the camera is fine, and looking at the screen, right? Especially if it's an interview with multiple people, you'll be looking at different boxes, that sort of thing. Totally fine. It looks pretty natural to either look at the camera or look at the screen. But again, like if you see me glancing to the side or looking down at my phone, like it gets pretty obvious that you're not paying attention pretty quickly. So make sure that you are making eye contact and smiling. It's a little harder for personality to come through via video. Same way it is with text and email and that sort of thing. You just can't really replace personal interaction, but your personality can still come through. You can think about that some with the background and just how you present yourself. If you're smiling, if you're friendly, if you look excited to be there, if your vocal inflection is, you know, interesting and you sound interested in what you're talking about. One thing to check that you don't have in person, but with online interviews, is watching for those lags. So if you can use the software that you're going to use beforehand to see if it's a little laggy, or just the first couple times that the person talks to you that's interviewing you, make sure that you don't start talking over them. Make sure that it's not just a pause or just a lag in the video. So make sure that you're pausing a little bit and letting them know. And you can expect those lags. It makes it a little less natural, but they're experiencing those on their side too. So just a couple of things to think about. And then, of course, our slide on practicing. You knew this was coming. There has to be a slide on practicing. So much of this class is based around having that practice. So make sure that if you can, you practice interview questions with your classmates the way we were going to do in class. Make sure that if you're going to do an online interview, maybe even have a friend interview you online, and just getting used to that, because it is a pretty different experience. Oh my gosh, you guys, I literally almost said, are there any questions? I miss you so much. Like, I love this class. And I'm so bummed that we didn't get to finish this semester together in the classroom. If you do have questions, please, Piazza, online office hours, email, whatever. Okay. One quick reminder, we do have our alumni talk on Thursday. So we are going to do a live Zoom meeting for that. I will put the link on Piazza probably on Wednesday. I think he's sending it to me. It'll be at 4:30 on Thursday, 4:30 Purdue time. You get 5 points for attending. I'll take attendance while the talk is going on, and then 5 points for a good question. You can either post that on Piazza beforehand, and I'm going to send those to him, or you can ask it during. He wants to do some Q&A. He wants to make sure this is a really useful talk for you guys. So he has a lot of embedded systems experience, and he's been working remotely for over 5 years. So he has some really good tips that could be really useful right now for you guys. I think it'll be a good experience. So please join me for that if you can. And next week, we're going to be talking about literature, which I am super excited about. And just sort of the way literature works on our brains, and how we can make the most of that. And I think it'll be a really fun, I was going to say discussion. Again, you guys, I miss you. I want these to be discussions, but I think it'll be a fun lecture. And hopefully we'll get some good discussion going, maybe on Piazza about that. Okay, so again, let me know if you have any questions. I hope you guys are well, and I will talk to you soon. And now you get to watch me figure out how to stop this. Bye.